Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 234, Annie Hall, which is a comedy romance film from 1977. This has an 8.0 on 229,691 votes. And the spoiler-free synopsis: comedian Alvy Singer examines the rise and fall of his relationship with struggling nightclub singer Annie Hall. Speaking directly to the audience in front of a bare background, Singer reflects briefly on his childhood, his early adult years before settling, his early adult years before settling in to tell the story of how he and Annie met, fell in love, and struggled with the obstacles of modern romance, mixing surreal fantasy sequences with small moments of emotional drama.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is directed by Woody Allen. He's also directed Midnight in Paris and Bullets Over Broadway. I mean, there's more, but those are just two I picked out. Then, of course, Woody Allen stars in this. He's Alvy, and then Diane Keaton and Tony Roberts. And Diane Keaton, of course, is Annie Hall.
Yep. And Rotten Tomatoes, the average rating is a 9. It is 97% on 70 critical reviews, 68 fresh, and 2 rotten. 2 of the fresh: Richard Roeper. This is Woody Allen's signature film, arguably his best and certainly his most popular. Okay. Yeah. I've never seen any other that I know of. Oh, don't know. Arthur Knight says Woody Allen fans will buy it 100%. Never before has a diminutive comedian been so urban, so open, so funny, and with lovely Diane Keaton as consort, it becomes well-nigh irresistible, especially if you find Keaton as well-nigh irresistible as I do. Okay. And then the 2 rotten: Gary Arnold, a soft, fuzzy, mildly diverting letdown.
Wow, that's kind of brutal.
And then Luke Thompson, I imagine it was probably more groundbreaking when it came out.
Yeah, probably. I can see that.
And that's from 2004. I remember that one. I was writing it down. I remember it said 2004. The critics' consensus: filled with poignant performances and devastating humor, Annie Hall represents a quantum leap for Woody Allen and remains an American classic. I don't know. I'd never heard of it before I saw it on the list, so.
What, Annie Hall?
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before.
Oh, I have, but I keep track of all the Best Picture winners, so that's why.
Gotcha. So the income, the budget was $4 million, and it made $38,251,425.
So it definitely made its money back.
Yeah. And its all-time domestic rank is 2,135.
Huh.
Yeah. And the awards. It won 4 Oscars. Best Picture, like you said. Best Actress in a Leading Role. Best Director. And Best Writing. Golden Globes. Best Actress. BAFTA. Best Actress. Best Directing. Best Editing. And Best Film. Bodil Awards, Best Non-European Film. Cinema Writers Circle Awards, Best Foreign Film. Directors Guild of America, Outstanding Directional Achievement. Guild of German Art House Cinema, Best Foreign Film. 1 gold. Kansas City Film Critics Circle, Best Film, Best Actress, Best Director. Los Angeles Film Critics Association, Best Screenplay. National Board of Review, Best Supporting Actress. It's in the National Film Registry. Got there in 1992. It's about 15 years. National Society of Film Critics Award. Best Film, Best Actress, Best Screenplay. Same thing for New York Films Critics Circle, but it also won Best Director there. Online Film and Television Hall of Fame. And lastly, the Writers Guild of America, Best Comedy Written Directly for Screen.
Cool.
A lot of the same things.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of the same, like, over and over, like Woody Allen and Diane Keaton. So.
Yeah. So what'd you think?
I've been holding off watching this film because, well, I have another list I go off with. I have a goal to watch, like, as many Best Picture winners as possible, and this is one of them. So when I saw it was on our list, I'm like, okay, I'll just wait to watch Annie Hall. And, I thought it was alright.
Yeah, I wasn't too pleased with it.
Woody Allen's comedy and his humor is a little different. You kind of have to really catch it.
Yeah. You have to know all the references.
Yes, and you also have to listen very carefully because he talks quickly.
Yeah, he does talk pretty quick.
And that wasn't bad.
I was just kind of in the middle.
In the middle.
Yeah. It was funny, but there's sometimes I was like, okay, that I didn't find that funny. And then there was times when I was starting to fall asleep. It's also because I'm tired. I need a nap.
I definitely need a nap too. But I thought this morning, I was like, can I get a nap yet? Just going.
Yep.
Oh, don't start that.
I've been yawning all damn day.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back once you've watched it. So, like the synopsis said, it just kind of starts with Woody Allen telling a joke.
Yeah, he's like, you like don't know who, you're like, okay, this is Woody Allen, but you don't know his character name yet.
Yeah.
So he's just telling jokes. He's talking about how he just turned 40 and he has trouble dating and like connecting with, women and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then you see he's still kind of talking, and you see him and you hear him and his friend talking, and there's just like this street, and like on one side, you see the sidewalk really, and on one side is the street with the cars parked so you can't see the full street, and then the other side is like a parking lot of an apartment building, and like this is like a Where's Waldo moment for me. I was like, where are they? Why are we just watching the sidewalk? Like, what's going on?
Like, they're right there.
And then all of a sudden, you see them, like, they're way down at the end of the sidewalk. It's like, oh, there they are.
Yeah, right before that, he was talking about how, like, he used to, his life, like, when he was a kid and everything, how he used to talk to a psychiatrist, and, like, how he used to live under a roller coaster.
Yeah. And he needed to see a psychiatrist when he was little because he found out the universe is expanding, and if the universe is everything and it expands too much, it'll eventually be nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I was like,
what?
Fuck? I was like, okay, little kid, calm it down.
Yeah.
That's what happens when little kids learn something really new, and they're just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. And him and his friend call each other Max. For some reason.
His friend is calling him Max. He's like,
yeah,
you look like a Max or something.
And
like
later on, he calls his friend Max. Like, they just call each other Max the whole movie.
I guess they're, even though it's not their names.
No.
At all.
No.
Because his name, Woody Allen's character is Alvy.
Yeah.
His friend's name's Rob.
Yeah, but they call each other Max the whole movie.
Yeah, that was weird.
So, next thing you see is Alvy is standing outside. It looked like a bank to me because I couldn't see what he was actually standing in front of. It looked like a bank.
It did.
But it wasn't a bank. It was apparently a movie theater. And he's waiting for somebody, and this guy comes out, and he's like, walks past him, kind of eyeballing him. And then he turns around and walks past him again, trying to get a better look. And then he stops and is like, aren't you on TV?
He's like, no.
No, I'm not.
He's trying to hide the fact that he's this comedian that goes on TV shows and does all this stuff.
Yeah. And then the person that he was waiting on shows up, and they're supposed to go in the movie, but the movie had started 2 minutes ago, so he doesn't want to go in. He said he needs to see a picture from the very beginning to the very end. And she's like, it's the opening credits, and they're in Swedish or something like that, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to, so they go see some Nazi
documentary,
yeah. And apparently they see this like 4 or 5 times throughout the film.
Yeah, really like this movie. And they're like talking, it's supposedly, this is Annie that you find out.
Yeah.
And they're talking about all kinds of different things, like, even like, well, they're waiting in line to see this movie, talking about their sexual problems, and breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. I noticed that.
He does. And that's the first place second, because he kind of does it at the beginning, but that's the beginning. So, like, when the movie is, like, in the story bit, he breaks it then for, like, the first time.
Yeah.
Then he's not talking about Annie anymore. He's talking about some other girl, which is, I guess, was his first wife.
His first wife, Allison, who was Carol Kane.
Yeah, she was in
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah, Dog Day Afternoon, yeah.
And, she was in Princess Bride, which is coming up, too.
I'll have to see that, because you've told me that, but I can't picture it.
She's got full makeup on, so.
Yeah. That's probably why I can't picture it.
That's exactly.
Because I've seen that movie quite a bit. And he's, like, on some show or something. It reminded me a lot of America's Got Talent, where it's like
I think it was a political thing, because he had a button on.
Oh.
That's what I noticed.
Oh, yeah, because he goes on and he's talking about he's not a political comedian. Except for he says a lot of political stuff.
Yeah, so, okay. Whatever you say there.
Yeah. Oh. And he says he doesn't want to go on after a comedian because they're laughing at him and he wants to make sure that he's funny or something like that.
Which makes sense. Yeah. It does.
It's hard to have 2 or 3 comedians in a row because if the first one's super funny, you're tired of laughing by the end.
That's true. That's true. And then, her name is Allison, and so they're back at, I think it's like her place or his place. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what bugged me as a flute player. This bugged the crap out of me.
I saw that.
And I was like, Kat saw me cringing. And I was like, just stop. She had a flute on a music stand, and it was just, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, it was. Part of the flute was on it, but then the foot was taken off and set
so on top of it. And then the part that was against the music stand was all the keys, which means they could be all bent up and just,
Except for that was, it looked like a wire music stand, so there's no way a wire music stand can bend it that bad, but,
it still can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my internal flute player, like, screaming at that point.
Yeah. But. And he's sitting there talking about the Kennedy assassination because he doesn't want to have sex with her at this point. Because they have already been together, I guess, for a while, it seems like, at this point. Because he's going on, and he's like, I don't see how he can be this good. He's not a marksman, and this and that, and this and the other. I'm like, every conspiracy theory ever is coming out of his mouth right now for Kennedy's assassination. It's literally what it was.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you go to lobsters?
Yeah, that lobster scene, it goes back to him and Annie in, like, a kitchen, and she supposedly bought live lobsters, and they fell out of the bag.
Like 7 of them.
And there are a bunch of them on the floor, and they're, like, trying to pick them up, and it was a big old chaotic scene.
Yeah. It reminds me of, there was a Cutthroat Kitchen episode where they had to cook like a surf and turf, and one lady picked a lobster, and she didn't know the lobster was alive, and she freaked out. It's funny. This is about Woody Allen freak out. Where he went and was like, holding that big, huge stick. And he's like, just throw it in the pot. Just throw it in the pot. Now there's one behind the fridge. It's a big one.
Yeah.
Get some butter and what? Put it behind him. Maybe he'll run out. That was it. That was an entertaining bit there.
That was.
Then he's going back through old memories again, and he's with his second wife.
Yeah, and then we also see Annie's exes, too.
Yeah, and Annie's exes. And then you get to the part where he actually meets Annie for the first time at tennis.
Yeah, some tennis match with Alvy, his friend, Rob, and that's where he meets Annie.
Yeah. And she is insane. Like, that is not ditzy. That is insane.
I thought she was just very flirty and very, just, like, nervous at that point.
I don't know.
That's what I got from it. But
I got insane.
You got insane.
I got insane. And she is a horrible driver.
Oh, completely horrible driver. She's driving this Volkswagen Bug, like, going, like, crazy, and he's just sitting in the front seat just, like, cringing.
And so they get where they're going. She invites him upstairs. And they're talking and there's subtitles.
Yeah, the subtitles I
It's
got.
like subtext.
Yeah, it was like their thoughts in their head.
Yeah.
That's what I always got from that.
Yeah.
And they're like yellow subtitles. Me and Kat were like, what the
I
hell
thought
is this?
all of a sudden it was just my copy of it was bad or something. And I was like, where'd these subtitles come from? I was going to go turn the subtitles off.
It was random.
But then I actually read them and I was like, oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, it's just their inner thoughts
Yeah.
put out. Okay. Okay, we get you.
Yeah. And so he asks her on a date for Friday night, but then he remembers he has something going on. So then he says, well, what about Saturday? And she's like, yeah. Oh, wait, no, I have an audition at a nightclub. I'm going to sing. And he's like, oh, I want to go to that audition.
Yeah, so he goes to it and she's singing this song.
Oh, I've heard it very recently, and it's irritating me that I don't remember what I've heard it from. Why?
It's a really
why was
old
it me?
song. It had
Why
to be
me?
you.
Oh yeah, that's it.
It had to be you.
Yeah,
It's a pretty famous song.
I've heard it in something very recent, and I don't remember what it is.
It's been covered by a lot of artists. So I mean, Frank Sinatra is one of the famous ones for it.
No, it wasn't. It was like in a movie. But I'm trying to think of what I've watched recently that I would have been in, and I
don't know.
Can't think.
It's a pretty old song.
Yeah. It's just driving me crazy that I can't remember what I've heard it in recently. Because this is the first time I heard it. Not this movie, but whatever I had watched that I just heard it in.
Oh.
Is the first time I'd ever heard it. So then they're at the bookstore, and he's making her get books about death.
Yeah, he's showing her because that's what he likes to read about is like death and all of that.
Because he says it's like this whole, the two types of people in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He said his view on the two types of people in the world are the horrible and the miserable. The horrible are like terminally ill people, blind people. He's like, he doesn't understand how they can get through life, but they do. And then everybody else is just miserable. And they should be thankful that they're miserable. I'm like, you're living life wrong there, bud.
He said he was a pessimist.
Yeah, that's true.
He did say this, like, if we're going to be dating, you should have a pessimist.
Yeah.
So, he did warn her.
Yeah. And then they move in together. She moves in with him. And he's, like, throwing a fit because he doesn't think that she should give up her apartment. And she thinks that that means that he doesn't want her to move in.
I think it was like the tax break. He's like, I'll just get my accountant to do like, like some tax break. I'll pay for it. It's like,
yeah.
Really?
And then they go to meet her parents. Like, he goes to meet her parents.
Yeah.
And her parents are like, he says very American.
Oh, yeah. And like right before that, when they're in like that bed and breakfast or that hotel, whatever, how she has to smoke weed.
Oh, yeah.
She's got to smoke weed so she can have sex with him.
Yeah.
He's like, why do you have to do that? She's like, it relaxes me. It's like, well...
Alright, whatever.
Whatever works for you, dear.
And, so they're he's meeting her parents and having dinner with her family. Christopher Walken is her little brother or older brother or one of them.
Yeah, it's her brother. I was like, ha, Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did like a side-by-side comparison, like families.
His family to her family. And his family is like, if you've ever seen The Heat with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. Her family is just like all over the place crazy, just like his family. And then Sandra Bullock, you don't ever really see her family, but I would just imagine them being exactly like Annie's family.
This literally made me think of me and my boyfriend's families. His family is just like Annie's, and mine is just like Alvy's.
There you go.
I was like, oh my god, that's my family. They're wild and crazy like that.
And then the next thing that I wrote down was Snow White.
Well, before that, it's because they have this big argument, and then.
I didn't really care about the argument. That's
yeah,
why
well, then they kind of broke up for a while. Yeah. Then there's the cartoon.
Where he says he didn't, like, everybody fell in love with Snow White, and he didn't fall in love with Snow White. He fell in love with the evil queen. Yeah. And then there's a little cartoon version of Alvy and the evil queen with Annie's voice.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Like, what in the world? And it's not animated the same way that Snow White is animated. It's different.
No, it's different. It's pretty cool, though.
But it's funny.
And then he has, like, this random date with this lady.
She's a journalist. She takes him to a rock concert or something.
It was, like, some religious thing, I thought. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was weird.
I thought it was a rock concert, but I don't know.
Yeah. And then, like, Annie calls Alvy because there's a spider in her bathroom and she can't kill it herself.
She's like, there's an emergency. He's like, okay, I'll be over there very soon. He gets there. He's like, what's the emergency? There's a spider in the bathroom. And I'm just like, that is a typical woman.
I'd kill the spider.
I'd just kind of shoo it with some water.
Yeah.
I can't get...
Depends on how big it is.
Yeah. If it's a big spider, then I would probably call Sean. Be like, hey, come and get this
unless
spider.
It's tarantulas are pretty calm.
Well, tarantulas don't really bite too often.
No.
The little ones.
The little ones, yeah.
The littler they are, the meaner their bite.
Exactly.
And black widows will tear you up.
There's a reason why they're black widows.
And then they're back together because he came and killed the spider.
And she's like, I miss you. It's like, oh god. Okay.
And then there's more memories of them together.
Yeah, they do like a road trip.
And they are in California. Or, no, I don't know. No, they're not in California yet.
They do a road trip to Brooklyn.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And now we're showing her like where he used to live and all that
stuff.
That's
it. And that's where the memories...
The flashback to his random childhood party.
Yeah. Which is weird.
That was a little weird. But I was like, okay. And then Annie has her birthday and he gets her this... For her first gift was lingerie. She's like, this is a gift for you.
Yeah.
And then he gives her a watch.
Yep.
Which she'd been wanting.
Yeah. And then you see her singing in the nightclub. And she's singing sitting down, which really bothers me.
Her posture when singing was not very good.
No, she shouldn't. She shouldn't have been able to sing.
Leaning a little and like her neck was down and like, nope.
She shouldn't have been able to sing very well like
no.
that.
She sang really well, but I think that was...
she would have been able to sing better if she was standing up with good posture. Or even sitting with good posture. You're not supposed to sit when you sing anyways.
No. You're supposed to be standing in like a certain way, you know.
Yeah.
Because we're musicians and we know this.
Yeah.
We're critiquing how they're singing as we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. I noticed that. I was like, nope.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, nope,
Bad posture. Bad.
Yeah. So she gets done, and they're having drinks, and this guy comes up with these three people, and he has a label, and he wants to sign her, is what I got out of it.
Yeah, his name's Tony.
Yeah.
I thought he's kind of weird.
Yeah, I thought so, too. And then... Alvy is not wanting her to do it, And she's like, well, I want to do it.
He's like, we have this thing, remember? This thing.
She's like, the thing. But I do that a lot, too. I'm like, oh, no, you can't. We have this thing, and I can't remember what the thing is, but I know we have something. And Sean never knows what I'm talking about, but we do have this thing. It's a great explanation. Just this thing, that place, this one, you know?
I just can't remember the exact times and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Smooth. Oh, so then you see that they're both in like therapy.
She's wearing Crocs.
I did notice
Crocs.
that. I was like, those look like Crocs.
They're green Crocs.
And they're both in this therapy session. They're both talking about each other.
Yeah, their relationship.
And both therapists ask them, well, how often do you have sex?
And she's like, constantly. And he's like, hardly ever.
Yeah. She's more tired of it. She's like, ugh, constantly, like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, only 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I guess priorities there. I don't know.
And then they're at some friend's house or something.
Yeah, that weird. So with it's
And
a pretty famous scene,
he's
actually.
like, I've never snorted coke. And she's like, well, I've always wanted to snort coke. And he's like, I just don't want something going up my nose like that.
He's like, no nasal membrane. It's like,
yeah.
like,
And so their friends are over there. They're talking about California, and they're like, oh yeah, we're about to go to California. And their friends are like, well, can you score us some coke? And he's like, well, yeah, how much is it? He's like, oh, $2,000 an ounce. And then he sneezes and it goes everywhere.
yeah, sneezes.
Except for I'm pretty sure that was powdered sugar or something, or flour.
Something like that. It doesn't say, but
No, it doesn't say, but that had to have been what it was.
I looked in the trivia. I did.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Doesn't say anything
No,
about it.
I was looking.
So then they go to California,
Yep.
and Rob is there, and they're still calling each other Max at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think it's a friend thing. I don't know.
I don't call my friends Max.
You can call him something different. You don't have to call him Max.
I call them their names that their mama gave them or their daddy gave them. So they're in California, and they go to Tony's house,
Yeah.
and he's trying to convince them to live in California, and he's like, no. Alvy's like, I like the garbage of New York.
Yeah. I'm in the garbage. It's my thing.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And like they're going back on the plane, Annie and Alvy going back to New York, and they're having like this inner monologue.
Yeah.
Where they're like, well, we should probably break up. This is not going well.
Uh-huh. And it's a mutual breakup.
Yeah.
They break up on the plane.
Yeah, that's really awkward. It's because you have to sit next to them for the rest of the plane ride.
Yeah. And California to New York is not a short flight.
No, it's a couple hours at least.
Well,
I don't know.
Colorado to California was 2.5 hours.
Yes, it's about 2.5.
So, California to New York is probably like at least half a day.
It gets about, well, back then probably, but now it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how long it took me. It'll probably take like, maybe 6 hours.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
I don't know, back then.
So they're packing up all their stuff, and they're dividing up the books, and she's like, all the ones with my name in them are mine. And she's like, or he's like, you just wrote your name in all my books so that you could take them when this happened. And I was like, yeah, I'd do that. And so she ends up going back to California, and he lives in New York still.
Yeah, she lives with Tony.
Yes. And he tries dating, but he really misses her. Nobody is like her. And there's a repeat of the lobster scene with someone else, and the other lady, she's just like, what are you doing? You're stupid.
It's like, oh, okay.
And so he goes back to California because he misses her. And they meet up at some cafe. And he tells her that he wants to get married. And she's like, no.
She's like, yeah, no. She's like, no, that's not gonna happen. I just want to be friends.
Yeah. And it's funny because he rented a car in California and he's like driving around and he's backing out or trying to back out of his space after they leave the cafe and he puts it in drive. So he goes forward and hits trash cans. And then he reverses. And at the same time that he's driving, it's showing bumper cars because that's basically what's happening.
Yeah, because it says, or it showed earlier that his dad used to help run the bumper cars.
Yeah. This is just like a flashback to the bumper cars. And
Bumper cars.
then flash further back and flashback.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is pretty much a flashback.
Yeah, that's true.
And so the cop is there, and he asks for his license, and he doesn't, he, like, throws his license on the ground.
Yeah, it kind of, like, flutters out.
And he's like, the cop's like, don't tell me your whole life story, just give me your license. And he's like, see, well, now you haven't asked nicely, and I don't do well with authority.
He's like,
so he rips up his license.
just, like, tosses in the cop's face. I'm like, oh, that's gonna get you in trouble.
And then I said that that's why they're laminated now.
She did. She's like, this is why licenses are laminated. I'm like, oh, that's why.
I don't really know why, but that seems like a good excuse.
It's a good one. I'm like, well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then so he gets arrested,
Yeah.
and Rob comes and picks him up and takes him, and he's wearing some weird spacesuit.
Hey, he says, what about, like, the UV rays or something
Yeah.
like that?
He's like, the rays won't get you and you'll stay young. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. But
No,
okay.
but okay.
It might help your skin a little bit, but it doesn't work like that.
He's like, has that, like, a weird, like, hazmat suit thing.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you see two people talking, and it's basically repeating the last interaction we saw between Annie and Alvy.
Yeah, because he was writing a play, and he pretty much wrote it about him and Annie.
Yeah. And then he runs into Annie.
Because she'd moved back to New York.
And he says, coincidentally, coming out of this, which was his
That
play.
Well, it was the documentary.
Oh, was it documentary?
Yeah, the documentary they kept going to.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
she was taking someone to go see it, and he was taking someone else to go see it.
I find it interesting that documentary has been in theaters for at least a year and a half, if not longer.
I mean, it's one of those theaters, I guess, in New York that just shows, like, one film.
I guess so.
I guess. I don't know.
And so he says that they have lunch and catch up, and
They're friends, and all's well, I guess.
the end of the movie, pretty much.
Yep. That's pretty much the end of it.
Yeah. So it made sense, but it was also slightly confusing in parts.
You probably got it better because it was in English.
Yeah.
That's because, 8.5.
Yeah. 8.5 was a little bit more confusing, though.
That's true. With this one, there wasn't any fantasy sequences.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. So the music. There's the songs that Annie sings. Seems Like Old Times is the one she's singing when she's sitting down. And It Had to Be You is the one she was singing for the audition. We talked about that. And then, other than that, the rest of it wasn't really too out there or anything. Like, it was subtle.
Yeah, like there's a Christmas melody when they're out in California because they're out during Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did notice that. That made sense.
And then there was kind of like a uppity tune when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And those are the only two that I noticed besides the ones that she was singing.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really that much music involved, at all.
6. 1, 2, 4, 5. Yeah, there's only 6 pieces. And 2 of them were the ones she sang.
So music really wasn't a big factor in this at all.
No.
With other films, like Jaws, for instance, that one really relied on the music to really get it going.
Yeah. I don't think there's any comparisons.
I can't think of any. So you can think of another movie. I mean, it's kind of similar, like how it goes flash back and forth. Like
Yeah,
with
it is
8.5 a little
kind of
bit.
similar to 8.5, but 8.5 is more confusing because there's the fantasy things in there,
Yeah.
and it doesn't start off with an explanation
Yeah, that's
from
true.
the main character like this one does. Because I feel like if that one had started off, if 8.5 had started off with an explanation like this one, then it would have made a little bit more sense.
I agree. I do.
I think that's the only bit of comparison we could really
Yeah,
do. That's the only thing similar that we've seen so
Yeah,
far.
because this is directly written for the screen.
Yeah. So trivia.
Alright, I got some. So, you know how we were just talking about that lady that Alvy was taking to the to see the documentary at the end of the film?
Yeah.
That was Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was too far away. You couldn't really see.
It was her.
That's
It
funny,
really
though.
does say that. There's she has a non-speaking part. So
That's cool.
Yeah, that was one of her really first big screen debuts.
And the only time she doesn't overact. You've got to admit, there's times when she overacts so bad.
You see, I'm laughing.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
It's true, though.
I will give you that. Oh, and so when they were watching people in that park area,
Yeah.
when he says the Truman Capote lookalike, well, that really was Truman Capote.
That's funny.
Yeah, he makes a cameo. All of Annie's outfits were all Diane Keaton's clothing she had.
Huh.
That makes sense. She really
dresses
does. No,
really
that's
weird.
literally how she dresses. If you see her now, she still kind of dresses like that. This one is the second shortest film to
That's
win
it.
Best Picture at 93 minutes.
Yeah.
The shortest one is Marty,
At 92.
91.
Oh, I thought it said 92.
So, Woody Allen actually wanted the title to be, it was a working title, it would be Anhedonia, which is the inability to feel pleasure.
That makes sense for his character.
Exactly. And people are like, well, this is going to be hard to market because not many people know what that means.
Yeah.
So he's like, fine, we'll just go with Annie Hall.
Mm.
And speaking of Annie Hall, Diane Keaton's real name is Diane Hall.
Ah.
And her nickname is Annie.
That's funny.
So it's a nice little connection there.
Yeah. It's like we said in the last one, you can connect anything. You just gotta
You gotta think about
a
it.
little bitty
The one little thing.
smidgen of a thing, and you can connect it. Alright, that's all the trivia you got.
Yeah.
Alright. So, where it has been on the list before, and now, in 2010 it was number 133. In 2012 it was number 154. In 2014, 179. 2016, 219. And as of today, when we are recording, it's the number 250. So it is dropping.
It is.
Because on our list it was 235.
4.
Oh, yep. I forgot to change that number over there.
234.
Yep. 234. So, our previous 234s, I kind of really wish that we had any of them. Because I liked all of them better than I liked this.
Those are some pretty good ones.
So 2010 was Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, which of course I love that movie.
Of course.
And then the 2012 list, number 235, was Shutter Island from 2010, which is on our
I was
list.
like, Shutter Island's on the list.
That is a great movie.
It's a very good discussion film. It is.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I love that. I've only seen it a few times just because it's just one of those that makes you think. And sometimes I don't want to think when I watch a movie. I just want to watch a movie.
You're like, shh, just let me be entertained.
And then, of course, one of my absolute favorites was 2014, The Help, which came out in 2011. And then the 2016 list, 12 Monkeys, which we watched previously.
We watched The Help, too.
Yep, and we watched both of those. And then, as of today when I looked at the list. Number 235 is Paper Moon from 1973.
Paper Moon is coming up on our list.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. It's number 226.
Oh, cool. I thought it sounded familiar.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only one that is not on our list is your
Pirates.
Pirates.
And literally it sucks because it's on every other freaking list. And like watch at the end of 2018 when they come out with the 2018 list, it's going to be on that.
Yeah, probably.
Because it jumps off and then jumps back on. Like it's constantly on there. And I'm so upset that the day the day that I looked at it, it was not on the list.
I know, I'm
I would
sorry.
have loved to watch Pirates, just to watch it and talk about it.
That's true.
Love Pirates. I'm so upset.
I'm sorry, Kat.
That's alright. Alright, so, favorite line. Oh, what'd you think?
Well, it was kind of hard to get, like, a really good lines, because
There's quite a few good ones.
there's really good lines. It's just hard to catch all of them.
I have a few. One, when they were standing outside, when he was standing outside the movie theater, waiting, and the guys come up, and she comes up in the taxi, and he's like, "Where you been?" and all that. And he's like, "I'm standing out here with the cast of The Godfather." That's funny. The intellectuals line, where he says, "Intellectuals, the smartest people in the world," and something. God, it's so funny. He says intellectuals, they're the smartest people in the world, but they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's something like that. That was the most fun I've had without laughing. That was the first time that him and Annie had sex. Like right after that. When he's after he's done talking to Annie's brother, because he has no idea what Annie's brother is saying, he says, "I have to go now, Dwayne, because I'm due back on the planet Earth." He's like, "Oh, I'm going to use that. That's funny. If there's somebody I'm talking to and they're real stupid, oh, yep, I'm using that."
You're like, I gotta go. That's great.
Another one, Annie's mad at him about something, and she says something about masturbating, and he says, "Don't knock masturbating. I'm having sex with someone I love."
That's one of mine.
And then my last one, which is also my favorite one, a shark is like a shark. A relationship is like a shark. It has to constantly move or it dies. I think what we have here is a dead shark.
Yeah, I like that one. It's a good
That
one.
one's my favorite.
Okay, so I was looking at the other quotes, see if there's anything different. So Kat took one of mine.
Sorry.
It's okay. The masturbation one. That made me giggle. There's the one I mentioned earlier when we were talking about it. The I'm into garbage. It's my thing.
Yeah, that one was funny.
The Alvy. And his other one I really liked was I have a terrific problem with authority.
Oh yeah, when he's talking to the cop about his license. That was funny.
So which one?
I like the authority one.
You like the authority one?
I have a terrific problem with authority.
Yeah. It's a good line.
Alright, so our rating. What'd you think?
I gave it a 6. Because, again, it wasn't like the most awful thing in the world, but I can see why people liked it.
Yeah.
And why it won Best Picture. I can see that. But just like it's just, maybe the comedy was just going too fast for me to catch everything to make it funny.
Yeah, I think that was my problem too.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I love Diane Keaton. She's a great actress. But it was just, I don't know. Maybe just too much Woody Allen for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it just, a couple of the jokes went over my head too. Because there's some of them were just like, yeah, I know that was probably supposed to be funny, but didn't find it funny. So I am going to give it a 5. Because it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And I feel like I need to know more about what was happening when this movie came out to know kind of what was going on. So, our next film is The Bourne Ultimatum. which came out in 2007, so it is 11 years old. It has 5 movies. There's The Bourne Identity, then The Bourne... Oh, no, that's a different one. So there's The Bourne Identity that came out in 2002, then The Bourne Supremacy in 2004, then Ultimatum, which is the one we're going to talk about, and then Bourne Legacy. But I don't think Legacy is connected.
I hope not. I already gotta watch 2 other films besides that one.
So we're gonna try to watch them all, but we may not get to them. We're pretty busy.
We'll try to get to at least the first 2.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Legacy has to do with
we'll
the
look
trilogy.
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll research it.
But if it does, we'll try to watch it.
We'll try
If
our
not,
best.
we will for sure get the 3.
Yeah.
The first 2 and then the one we're going to talk about. So that way we can compare them like we always do. And I think that's all we got.
Yep.
So we're still running that contest. 1 out of every 10 people that leave a positive written review will be selected via random number generator to join us for a movie of your choice. Make sure you email or message us a picture, like a screenshot of that. Because I don't check it every day.
Yeah,
but I do check it like once a week. So that way we know when it's done. And we are also starting in September premium episodes. So if you pay for premium, you will get access to uncut episodes when they are available. Also early release episodes. So you'll get them Monday instead of Friday, as long as I have them edited by Monday. And then also once a month you'll get a special episode from us, like our one for September. If you vote on Twitter or Facebook, you will pick from one of our movies that neither of us really ever wants to watch, but you get to pick and make us watch it. So there's that for you. So where to find us?
Alright, so you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Cat and Jess Talk the Best. Our email is catandjesstalkthebest250@gmail, and our website is catandjesstalkthebest.podbean.com.
Yep. And the show is everywhere. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. And if you want to listen to every episode, they are all always going to be on Podbean, the website. And our opening music is by Audio Binger. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. And also, coming up in 3 months, we are doing our Halloween episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that one as well. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
There you go.
She has a porg.
I do have a porg. He's so cute.